Hey everyone, it's Tommy Salame and I'm here to show you how to become a better builder with just dirt. If you're new to the channel, I do build tutorials and also have a Let's Play series running right now, so go ahead and subscribe for more content. And now let's get into the video. There are a lot of benefits to building with just dirt. For one, it's really easy to make changes to your build as you go along. Even major changes don't take too long. Second, it allows you to focus on the shape, scale, and design of the build as opposed to just worrying about what block palette you want to use. So here I've sketched out one chunk, which is 16 by 16 blocks that I'll be working with today. And I'll start off by placing a dirt block closer to the edge of this border. Right there. I like to start off my builds with just a simple floor plan just to see how big the actual build is going to be. It's important to consider scale when trying to create a nice build. I try to scale things to the actual Minecraft player just to make the build and the interior a lot more immersive when playing Minecraft. And so when I limit myself to one chunk, I want to use as much space as I can in order to make the build more immersive. So here I made the first rectangle of the floor plan, and I know I want to add a tower, so I'm going to add a half circle to the side of the building. This is a decent floor plan to start off with. It doesn't have to be the final product, but since I'm building with dirt, it won't be too difficult to change around. But now I want to focus on the scale of the building and how tall it's going to be. So I'm going to build up 5 blocks tall and just go around the first rectangle. So now that the shape is done, you may have noticed I added a small piece of dirt on the side, and that's because I want to add more shape to the actual build instead of it just being a big box. Now I'm going to come to the other side and bring the tower up to the rest of the build. I know I want to add some pillars to the front of the build, so I'm going to place some blocks where I want them to be. This gives me a chance to add some depth to the actual build because I don't want the build to look really flat. These pillars are going to be symmetrical to the front of the build, and I'm running into a problem with this second pillar and the spacing between the tower. So I might move this tower later on in the video or just rescale the entire build itself. But before I do that, I want to start working on the roof. I like to bring the roof out at least 1 block from the furthest block in the base. Of course, that depends on the style of roof you're going to be making, but I'm going to be making an A-frame style roof for this build. That's a good shape so far. So I want to add a cross beam to the build, and I'm going to add it behind the roof and in front of the actual building itself. You know, this might be a little too high. I'm thinking about adding a window right underneath the roof, so maybe I'll bring it lower. Actually, no, I changed my mind about that. But you can see how easy it is to make these changes when building with dirt. I'm going to bring up the wall and see where I can put this window. I'm going to add the crossbeam right here, and that should give me plenty of space to add a window. Here I'll be adding extra pillars to the front just to give the building a little bit more detail. Moving on, I'm going to raise the rest of the building by 1 block just so it can be level with the roof. And I'll also be mirroring the roof on the other side as well. Again, I'll add some pillars to this side of the building just to add depth to the flat wall. Now that everything's level, I can continue the roof all the way to the other side. You know, I changed my mind. I want to add a second floor to the building, and so I'm going to cut off the roof just to the front half of the building. You can already see how the tower placement is messing with the roof I'm trying to build, so that's definitely going to have to be changed later in the video. I'm going to change the placement of the pillars and see how the roof looks with the current placement of the tower. You can actually see how the new placement of the pillars fits pretty nicely with the tower. Now let's finish the rest of the roof and see what we're working with. The roof is looking really solid so far, so this makes it a lot easier to work off of. Going back to what I said about adding a second floor, I'm going to be adding it to the back half of the building. And it's just going to be a simple square. And I want the roof to come all the way up to the actual building. So you can see how this tower is actually making its way into the roof I'm trying to build, but maybe it'll look good, maybe it won't. That's the whole point with building with dirt, is to see how the actual shape fits with the build. So I'll raise the tower one block higher and see where it goes from there. Going back to scale, I'm going to add the second floor to the back half of the building. I'll be making it around 5 blocks tall, just like the first floor. Now that that's done, I'll be adding some cross beams and extending the pillars on the corners. Now you can see that the original placement of the tower is not where it should be. I want it to be a little bit more centered with the actual face of the building. I'm going to bring the half circle out just a little bit more, just so it can fit with the scale of the second floor I just added. I'll bring it up so it's even with the first floor building, just for now, just so I can work out the shape of the building. The scale and spacing of the tower is looking so much better with the rest of the building, but now I want to add some depth to the building, so I'm going to bring in the tower by 1 block and start building up from there. Now to change up the shape of the building, I'm going to rotate the second floor roof just so it's in a different direction than the first floor roof and it actually flows with the tower itself. First floor, and it also flows with the tower. You know, I actually don't like where this roof is currently sitting right now on the second floor, so I want to clear the face and start over. You see how simple that was? If I were building with a block palette, I'd have to account for every block I'm trying to take apart. Now looking at this side of the building, it's really flat and it's also flush with the tower on the other side. So I need to add some depth to the actual wall. And I'm thinking about making it a little longer than it is right now. Now that I've extended the wall, I'm going to fix the roof just so it fits the scale of the wall. You can see now that the extension I made at the beginning is not centered with the wall, so I want to actually make it centered. Now that these walls are set, I can start to make the second floor roof. I'm going to keep the same A-frame style roof that I did on the first floor. Now I can extend the roof and mirror the other side. So with this new frame, I'm going to fill in the roof and see the shape that we're working with. The shape of the building is now looking so much better. You can start to see the scale and depth and the design and the overall design of the building. Now you may have noticed I didn't add any pillars on this side over here. I'll be getting to that later with a different design. More importantly, you can see that the tower is again not centered with the building, and I do want it to be centered, so I'm going to have to move the whole thing again. Luckily, since I'm building with dirt, it's very simple and won't take too long. Now that it's all clear, I can recreate the same tower I had before. Now that that's centered, I'm going to keep adding depth to this tower by bringing the tower back out 1 like I did on the bottom. From there, I'll extend the top portion of the tower to be even taller than the second floor, thus adding even more scale to the building. And since it's going on top of the roof, I'm going to have to continue the circle from where it is on top of the roof. This lets me raise the top portion even easier than before. You can see that the tower fits really nicely with the overall building. I'm going to add one more layer to the top portion of the tower and then add a lip to that top layer to start my roof. and see, that gives me enough space between the tower's roof and the second floor roof so they're not clashing with each other. I'm gonna make this tower's roof a lot steeper than the other roofs. Since this is coming to a point, I can make the roof a lot steeper by raising each level by 2 blocks. You can see how the lip differentiates itself from the rest of the tower. And so to continue with the roof, I'm going to raise each level by 2 blocks while going in on the circle by 1 block. This makes the roof really steep while coming to a point at the end. Now that the roof is finished, I want to add a little bit more depth, and I can do that by adding a block in the middle of the sides of the roof. Now that the build is done, you can see that I've added scale, shape, and depth to the build. And so this is the block palette I'm going to be using for the build. And with this block palette, I can transform this dirt house into a medieval mansion by the river. And so after this video, I hope you guys learned a lot about building with just 1 block, and you guys can all become better builders. If you want more Minecraft content in the future, be sure to leave a like and follow my channel for more videos. I'm Tommy Salami, and I'll see you guys later.